Hey everybody, how's it going? Extreme Trends here. While you may think you know what's inside of your body, a heart, lungs, stomach, and intestines, there have been times where people have found extremely strange things living inside their bodies. Some cases are obviously more severe than others, but it doesn't dismiss the fact that every one of them is pretty creepy. So let's take a look at the 10 horrifying things found living inside the human body. Number 10. Brainworm. Interestingly enough, there are a number of ways to get a variety of different symptoms, and this is just one of them. A woman in Arizona found what appeared to be a worm in her brain. She first exhibited flu-like symptoms, which then developed into numbness in her arm, which grew only worse. Neurosurgeon Peter Nakagi proceeded to operate on the patient in order to find the cause of the symptoms and expected to find a tumor. What he found, however, was not what he bargained for, as he later discovered what seemed to be a tapeworm living inside the woman's skull. Luckily for the woman, the tapeworm was only in its larvae stage and not the actual tapeworm, making her recovery much more smooth. The cause of the tapeworm, however, apparently stems from eating uncooked pork. The worm infects 5 million people a year and has an annual death toll of almost 50,000. The hit show House MD even did an episode with the premise, which serves as their plot episode in 2005. The risk of infection makes it even more important to be safe about their pork consumptions in the future. Number 9. Spider in stomach. We often talk about how we feel like we may have butterflies in our stomach, especially when we feel nervous, but this guy had something a little more devastating than a simple butterfly. Dylan Thomas, a 21-year-old at the time, was taking a trip to Bali. While there in his room, he woke up to find a red streak, almost tail-like, forming from his stomach. Naturally, Dylan made his way straight to the emergency room in Bali to be examined by the doctors there. Initially, the doctors had dismissed the tail to be nothing more than just a mere insect bite and sent him home with some medication. When he woke up the next day, the streak was even further up his chest. Once the red streak had begun to blister, Thomas made his way back to the doctors to find something truly horrifying. A tropical spider about the size of a match head was found boring its way through Dylan's stomach and making its way through his chest. The spider apparently entered through a surgical scar from when Dylan had his appendix removed. Luckily, the spider was successfully removed, but still to this day, no one really knows what species of spider this actually was. Number 8. Baby cockroaches in ear. Often our ears give us the most trouble in terms of itching and irritation. We mostly just attribute it to wax buildup of just regular skin tissue, but one man in China got more than he bargained for. Mr. Lee from China woke up one night with a severe case of itching in his ear along with some pain. Mr. Lee, who was 19 years old at the time, went to the hospital to get a checkup for the pain. When the doctors took a look inside the man's ear, what they discovered was truly baffling. They found a number of tiny insects running around inside the man's ear, and upon digging deeper, the doctors found about 25 baby cockroaches and a mother cockroach inside Mr. Lee's ear. It has been estimated that the cockroach had made a home out of Mr. Lee's ear canal several weeks before the babies were actually born. Certainly a scary thought, and one we wouldn't want to wish on anyone. Number 7. Fish in lungs. Our lungs are meant for oxygen and usually help in keeping us breathing, but there was a person who found more than oxygen in his lungs on a weird day. Anil Berla, a 12-year-old boy from India, was playing in the Indian River with his friends. As part of the fad of the region he was living in, the kids would often swallow whole fish straight from the river into their stomachs, but Anil was not expecting the surprise he got. When he swallowed the fish, it made its way not into his stomach, but straight into his lungs instead. This was clearly an odd tragedy for the fish, as Anil was immediately rushed to the emergency room and was operated on. The surgeon was able to pull the fish out of Anil's lungs just as the fish was taking its last breath of air. The fish was 3.5 inches in length and restricted the inflow of oxygen, making it lucky that Anil was able to walk away from this, but he should watch what he eats to avoid any more incidents like this in the future. Number 6. Maggots in scalp. We all scratch our heads from time to time, and let's be honest, it's one of the most satisfying feelings there is. There are many reasons for this, including dandruff, but in this case, it was maggots. Aaron Dallas, a young man who took a vacation to the country of Belize, after a night of hard partying, Aaron woke up to what he thought was the worst hangover possible. After some time, the headache and the itching would just not go away, so Aaron did what anyone else would do: he visited a doctor. After an examination of his scalp, the doctors found that the tissue that Aaron was facing was not because of a night of boozing, but it was a result of maggots that had grown into his scalp. It is not known how it came to the point where maggots were growing in his scalp, but the issue was dealt with and he is now fine and maggot free. Clearly, we all need to be careful about the condition of our heads just to make sure that we don't go through the same thing. Number 5. Worm in man's eye. PK Krishnamurthy, at the age of 75, went to the doctors in Mumbai, India, complaining about an itchy eye and some irritation. After the doctors observed PK, they found that there was a worm living inside his ear. Baffled at the scene, the doctors immediately called the situation unusual and removed the worm directly from his eye. The doctors claimed that he was lucky that the worm only traveled as far as his eye, because if the worm had traveled any further, it would have proven to be very problematic for the victim. Since having the worm removed, he is now feeling much better and confirmed that the symptoms ceased to exist. Number 4. Woman's mouth being impregnated by a squid. That does sound weird, but there are reports claiming that it actually happened. A 63-year-old woman became pregnant with 12 baby squids after eating calamari. The woman from South Korea claimed to have been eating cooked squid when she began feeling a sharp pain in her mouth. The woman then went to the doctor to get an examination and told the doctor that she felt something in her mouth which bared similarities to tiny organisms. Once the doctor examined the woman's mouth, he found 12 baby cephalopods attached to the inside of her mouth in sacks to keep the baby squid safe. It is thought that this is mostly because of the culture to eat raw fish over in the East, whereas in the western side of the world, we tend to remove the internal organs. The woman was believed to have chewed through a sperm sac that led to the babies being inside her mouth. This is certainly a crazy one and deserved a spot on our list. Number 3. Tapeworm in man's intestine. We've discussed a lot of weird and horrifying things, but this one can make a lot of people upset in the stomach. A 38-year-old man from China walked into a hospital complaining about stomach pains and vomiting for the previous 3 days. He also complained about stomach pains from the previous 2 years, which resulted him losing a lot of weight. After an examination of the patient where they tested his fecal matter, they found what appeared to be tapeworm eggs inside. Surgery revealed that there was a 6.2 meter long tapeworm living inside the man's intestines. It was later discovered that the man had a tendency of eating raw beef, which was found to be directly linked to the infestation of tapeworms in people. It's always best to keep your eye on the food that you eat to make sure that you don't go through what happened to this man. Number 2. Spider found in woman's ear canal. There are many things that everyone is afraid of, and finding a spider in your ear is certainly one of them. In China, a woman named Miss Lee went out to a rural hike and found herself constantly hearing scratching noises in her ear. Days went by where she would hear this constant itching and scratching sound inside of her head, and she thought that she was going completely insane. After a while, she went to the doctors and found that there was a spider living inside her ear. Doctors were baffled by this and found that it would be extremely difficult to remove the spider, as it would only dig deeper into her ear canal if they were to disturb it. So the only way the doctors could remove the spider was to put it to sleep. After the crucial step of putting the spider to bed, the doctors successfully removed the spider and put Miss Lee to a state of comfort. Finally, coming in at number 1, we have fish found in boy's bladder. In India, a 14-year-old boy was cleaning a fish tank and holding fish in his hands. When making a trip to the bathroom, the fish allegedly swam up his urethra and caused him severe pain. Once inside, the fish swam through his body all the way through to the boy's bladder. The boy was soon rushed to the emergency room to ensure not only his well-being, but also to make sure that the fish could be removed. After the surgery, the fish was removed from his bladder and was found to be exactly 2 centimeters long and 1 centimeter wide. There's a lot of speculation as to whether or not this story is actually true, as apparently the only fish that can swim up a man's urethra is found in the Amazon. So that has been the top 10 horrifying things found living inside a human body. If you did enjoy the video or found it interesting, then why not go check out one of our other videos by clicking a video on screen now. Before you do that though, as always, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you do not miss a single upload. But anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'll speak to you in the next video.